Please give a warm welcome to Mark Bradley Morrow.
For my second and third children that were lost, I didn't find out about those deaths of my babies until after the fact.
Now, I'm here tonight to talk about something that many of you have maybe never considered. What about the fathers?
Would I be willing to stand up in front of this group of people and share my story? So I said sure, and a couple months later my story was on the front page of the LA Times, which has a daily circulation of over 1 million readers.
We have a special guest today that's going to talk to us about abortions from a male perspective.
Well, research indicates that 25% of all women will have at least one abortion by the age of 45. And that 1 out of 6 evangelical Christian women will have an abortion.
Now, I'm no research specialist, but I've got to believe that those same statistics hold true for men. That maybe 1 out of 4 men will have an abortion experience before the age of 45. And that 1 out of 6 evangelical Christian men sitting in the churches today, they've been part of an abortion experience.
Well, what I do, if you invite me to come in and speak at your banquet, your event, your school, your church, what I normally do is I hit the stage and I start off with a little bit of comedy. I get people laughing. People love laughter.
Right now, give us a funny thought.
Well, you know, I share the true story about how, you know, I tell parents, look, you got to stay one step ahead of your kid, you know, especially when they're teenagers, right?
Yes.
So I remember when my oldest daughter was 16 years old, she came and she said, Dad, can I borrow $60? I looked at her and said, $50? What do you need $40 for? Look, the last time I lent you $30, you only pay me back 20. Here's 10. Hey, bring back 5.
Then I change gears and I talk about abortion and how it affects women, and then how it affects men, the men that I see in my office.
And afterwards, a gentleman came up to me, and he appeared to be in his late 50s. And he shook my hand and he said, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you said. He said, Mark, I want to tell you something. When I was a young man, I lived the lifestyle of a motorcycle outlaw. You know, the Hells Angels stuff. And he said, I had 6 children that were aborted. And then he got real still and a tear trickled down his cheek and he said, by the way, I never was able to have my own children.
They don't see it coming, but then I share how I was responsible for 4 abortions in 20 months, and I kept that a secret for 18 years.
But the story I always like to share is about my daughter. She got off the bus. I said, hey, Ricky, you want to hear my story? She's like, yeah, Dad. It's just her and I in the house. She sat across from me, and for the next hour, I spilled my guts, and I told her everything that I told you, and then some. And at the end, I said, Ricky, do you have anything you want to say? Any comments? Have any questions for me? Go at it. And my daughter, Ricky, looked me in the eye. And she said, Dad, my God is good. My wife got pregnant a couple months later, and that is my daughter, Faith Madison. 10 years old right now, 5th grader, goes to Erie First Christian Academy. Just a gorgeous little girl. I finally threw up my hands. I'm like, I can't wrestle with you anymore, God. And I said, I'm not going to try to have kids, but I'm not going to try not to have kids. And boom, my wife got pregnant. And I got Ross right now, Ross Bradley Morrow. Ross is named after my dad and my grandfather, and he got my middle name.
Well, I met my wife in graduate school where we both earned our master's degrees in counseling. I then became a national board certified counselor, then became a licensed professional counselor in the state of Pennsylvania, and then became a board certified professional Christian counselor. We can talk about the Bible, we can pray for our clients at the end, but for those who aren't there yet in their journey through life, and they are not yet a Christian, they might be atheists, they might be agnostics. So I meet them where they're at.
Probably my greatest claim to fame, though, doing stand-up comedy, it was many years ago, right before he passed away. I was in Vegas. I got to open up for Old Blue Eyes. Yeah, Frank, the one and only Frank Sinansky. He was just an incredible Sinatra impersonator. Boy, he was good.
Well, one of the first celebrities that I got to work with was Victoria Jackson from Saturday Night Live. I opened up 6 shows for her. We became friends. She's been over to my house a couple of times. I opened up for Gary Puckett from the Union Gap in front of about 1,300 people in Ohio. And one of my favorite times was I opened up for Davy Jones of the Monkees, a couple of dinner concerts on a Friday and Saturday night in front of a few hundred people, and that was a lot of fun.
As far as your checkbooks go, I keep it real simple. I don't give a hard sell. We're just going to let God give each of you a hard sell. My name is Mark Bradley Morrow. Thank you so much.
When you bring me in, you're hiring a professional. I'm a professional communicator. I'm a professional comedian. I'm a professional counselor. And God has woven all those aspects of my life into one extremely incredible presentation that people will walk away from those events shaking their heads saying, wow. But also, more importantly, that what I have to say, and at the end of my speech, I oftentimes do the appeal for the funds. And I think people in the audience realize, I never realized that abortion hurt men, and that by my wife and I, or by my family, donating money to this ministry tonight and making a pledge, maybe a yearly pledge or monthly pledge, that we can maybe help some other people in the future. Well, now you've gotten to know Mark Bradley Morrow a little bit. You can call me a national keynote speaker. You can call me a licensed counselor. You can call me a professional comedian. You can call me to be a part of your next event. Right to Life, Crisis Pregnancy Center banquet, church, or school. And they're looking for someone good. They're looking for someone unique. They're looking for someone who's going to help them raise the funds necessary to keep their ministries going. Now, I'll admit, not too many people know the name Mark Bradley Morrow, but millions of people have already heard my story through newspapers, through magazines, through radio interviews, through television interviews. My name's out there.